I'm James Swanwick. Welcome to the Alcohol Free Lifestyle Podcast, where you learn to live a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. Welcome to the show. James Swanwick here. Do you sometimes feel like you've been a patient as long as you have been healthy? Today's guest is a doctor who has had a lot of health challenges over the years. He's grappled with life-altering health issues, in fact, including type 1 diabetes, digestive failure, immune problems. He had a near-death experience at the age of 18. He's going to share his story in just a little bit. But he's used that crises, I guess, in his life to go on and learn everything about health and fitness and nutrition and great sleep. He's the founder and clinical director at the Lazarus Method, which is a cutting-edge health program where he teaches essential elements to health. He's a board-certified functional medicine practitioner, certified nutrition specialist, certified personal trainer, and rehab specialist. He knows what he's talking about, and he's also a friend of mine. We're in a business mastermind together, have known each other a number of years, and I observe him being incredibly fit, incredibly healthy, while at the same time I observe him injecting himself with something. It's seemingly every few hours, pulls out a little medical kit, injects himself. We'll ask him a little bit about that. And he resides in the small town of Danville in California, where he lives with his wife, Natalia, and their two children, aged 14 and 12. Dr. Ryan Lazarus is his name, and he is the author of a book which you can find on Amazon, which is called The Essential Health Playbook. Dr. Ryan Lazarus, welcome to the show, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, James. I appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait to jam and talk about everything about health and everything in between.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this near-death experience at the age of 18, just to kick us off here.
Yeah, for many years I was hesitant to bring it up because it caused a lot of triggering and a lot of emotions. And as I started writing this book and literally visualizing it and writing it and reading it, I'm ready to start talking about it. And so I'm excited to share it with you. Indoor soccer, playing at the age of 18, on my way to play soccer in college, just a routine play. And I got hit along a wall and kind of rolled over the wall and crushed my pancreas. And usually that mechanism of injury is kind of breaking of the ribs or rupturing of the spleen. This one was just very unique. So a greater force said, this is the direction of your life. And I was rushed to the hospital and don't really remember much. Remember these memories that I could get into in great detail, but it was there was no pain. There was calmness and acceptance. And I woke up 12 hours later in the ICU with a scar and a bunch of different tubes in me. And they said, we saved you. And so I learned about the last 12 hours of my life. And so, whatever you want to call that, there's a lot of debate on what was actually happening. And I don't know, James, but it was a life-altering experience. And from that time, I said, I'm gonna figure out how to live the life that I want. And there was a lot of darkness after, a lot of victimization, a lot of blame, because it changed the course of my life. And I thought I had it all figured out, and it was changed very quickly. And so that darkness has brought me to where I am right now, which is speaking about health and what I learned and what I needed to do for myself and how I help my patients. And so that's why I say I've been a patient longer than I've been a doctor. I understand a lot of the issues, a lot of the emotions that people go through. And so, it was a catalyst. My mother and my father said it happened for a reason, and now I know why. So,
Your organs were crushed, is that right? Like, what did they actually say had happened in that moment?
So I had crushed the middle part of the pancreas. And so they didn't know what was going on. It was extremely painful. vomiting, rushed to the hospital, CT, finally highlighted what was going on. And then that's when I really don't remember anything from there.
Mm.
So yeah, they cut me open and then they removed the crushed portion of the tail, the spleen that connects to that, and sewed me up and said, "All right, kid, go get them."
Wow. And I guess you went and got it in terms of life, but it hasn't come without some ongoing challenges, right? What are those ongoing challenges? Because you're a man. How old are you now, Ryan?
I'm 46.
Okay, so that was 28 years ago, right? What have been the ramifications or the consequences of that injury from a health perspective for the last 28 years?
Yeah, it was a very confusing time the first 10 years, in and out of the hospital, not knowing really what to eat, um, having bad habits like drinking alcohol, going to the hospital. I was 18, so it was a 6 months recovery, and then boom, I was off to college. So here I was, this young athlete used to doing whatever I wanted, and then in college and in and out of the hospital, sitting in the dorm room, sitting in my house, in pain. A lot of victim, a lot of blame, James. I mean, it was a lot of why this happened to me. Confusion, anger. Um, and then finally diagnosed with diabetes. They looked and they said, physiologically, your labs are terrible. You need to start taking insulin. You need to start taking these digestive enzymes so you can break down your food. You need to take all of these medications, and it was just drugs, drugs, drugs. And there's a rejection to that. Well, I'm not really a diabetic, and then so trying to figure all of this out while I was a young man. Um, and then finally there was, an epiphany that kind of switched everything, and I'll get into that. But it was emotional, it was depression, it was fatigue, it was extremely bad GI issues, it was blood sugar issues. It was struggling just to get through the day.
Yeah, that must have felt challenging. And was that just for the first 10 years, or has that been going on for almost 3 decades?
No, finally, just in and out of the hospital, sat down with a doctor. I lived down in San Diego at the time, and it was a Scripps clinic. It's a very good medical institute, and very well respected doctor just sat me down and said, at the rate you're going right now, your life is going to end soon. You need to make a decision right now. And I don't know. It was at the perfect time where I just realized, I have to change things. I got to start understanding how to be truly, truly healthy. And then from that point on, said, boom, I'm going to make this my career. And got my medical degree, became a nutritionist, became a trainer, went back to school, got a master's degree, became board certified in functional medicine, which is a holistic way of approaching health. And just saying, I need the ammo to be able to heal myself, and I want to heal other people this way. I learned that the way that we're healing people, or really treating people in this country, is completely dysfunctional. It's a pill for an ill. Emergency medicine saved my life. Okay. Without that medicine and that intervention, I would not be here. But the daily grind of going into your doctor and receiving a medication for a bunch of things that could be reversed with some changes to your lifestyle, I said, this is going to be my calling, and this is where I'm going to help people. And that's where the method really was born from.
The doctor that you respected who told you if you go on like this, you're going to die and we need to make some changes, were the actions that he saw you taking and that you acknowledge you were taking, were they lifestyle actions that were compromising your life? Or are you suggesting that it was modern medicine giving you a bunch of prescription pills that was compromising your life?
Yeah. The only solutions that I was being offered was insulin and medications. Yeah,
Wow, that was
it's
it.
sad, right? That was it.
Take
Uh,
insulin and take medication. That'll fix you. And then this doctor who you're referencing, who it sounds like he was a more of a holistic doctor. Is that fair to say?
he was He was still a very well trained endocrinologist. So I wouldn't
Mm,
say he was, all the way holistic.
mm.
He looked at me as a young man and just said, you got to make a change. He didn't really have the resources and the solutions here. This is the rule book that I want you. Here's the game plan, right? I didn't have
Yeah.
that. It was just the slap in the face that you need to make a change. The frustration came is that I didn't really know how to make the change from a diet, from a lifestyle perspective and a holistic perspective. And so that's where I said, I'm going to figure this out myself.
Yeah. So then you dived into study and got all of these, um, you became certified in functional medicine and nutrition and personal training and rehab. And now you've got a master's degree in nutrition, a bachelor's in exercise science, and you're a corporate wellness coach now, functional medicine researcher. You've been providing workshops to Fortune 500 corporations and CEOs, celebrities, public figures. So you really went deep on this. And what did you learn generally? And then we'll dig into some specifics, which is outlined in this book of yours, The Essential Health Playbook. So what did you learn generally?
I learned that um, it has to come from here and here. Um, if you are um, trying to get healthy because it's a superficial goal, or you're just following some type of general plan and you don't know why, and you're just a robot going through the motions, then that's success, in my opinion, success for a short term. But what I wanted to do was build a consistent lifestyle. And what I realized after getting all this education, and actually, I was in the trenches for 20 years. I've been practicing for 20 years, over 7,000 patients. And the more I learned, the less I understand, especially about the body. So I'm not here on a pedestal saying this is what everybody needs to do. In fact, it's the exact opposite.
Mm.
A lot of designations, but still, I'm still a student and will always be a student because the body is so complex. But I had all these tools, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and here, try this, and swallow this, and only eat these things. And I just saw the majority of people do it for a short period of time and then die off. It was not a consistent routine, and so what I created was a method of that. Like, what are your values? What are your beliefs? What are your goals? What's your definition of success? Let's start with there, and then let's create an environment and work towards creating this consistent routine that encompasses the 7 elements that I convey in the book. And it's not about perfection. It's not about pushing, and it's just about realizing what you can do, setting ceiling goals and floor goals, and then just creating the habits slowly over time. And it's about progress and not perfection. So all these things I did not do in the first kind of decade of my clinical practice, and now really saying it's really comes down to what's in here and here. And I give them the strategies. I call it habit formation through gamification. You want to get healthy, you want it to be fun and enjoyable, and enjoy all the great things in your life. And I just think sometimes you feel like there's a lot of restriction, and it's just kind of back and forth. And so what I've learned after gathering all of the clinical data and being in the trenches with patients is it's about balance and it's about consistency.
Mm. I want to get into those 7 elements now. And as I understand it, those 7 elements are nutrition, fitness, sleep, flow states, mental fitness, the thrill of personal challenges, and a quest for one's purpose. Have I got that right?
Yeah, essentially, I've taken. Yeah, let me explain this? But you're
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah, so it's really a hybrid of some really amazing ancient healing paradigms, the chakras from Ayurvedic medicine, the 7 chakras, which I study great and still use all the time. Meridians and energy. It uses the Stoic virtues. It's Taoism, it's chaos and order, and it's really the principles of functional medicine. So it's kind of all of these ancient healing remedies with kind of the new operating system. And yeah, and it's called the Lazarus method, and it's essentially 7 elements. And it's nourish, it's rest, it's move, it's challenge, learn, connect, and in the middle is your spark. And so nourish is obviously what you're putting in your body, what you're maybe not putting in your body, your hydration, and then what supplements that would really work for you based on your blood chemistry and your genetics, and which ones you don't really need. There's a lot of confusion and conventional wisdom about supplements. Rest is really about the sleep, but also how you're resting your mind. Movement is how we're moving. Exercise is a part of that, James. Movement comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Ultimately, you want recreation and play and things that you love doing and a diversity of different things. Learning is where flow states come in, and being an avid learner, being curious. Neuroplasticity is a great hot term about creating new neuronal pathways in your brain, and that brings perspective to our life. Connection to nature, connection to self, and that's where what I call mental fitness, what you would call meditation. Connection to your tribe and your community, and then ultimately challenge is we always are working towards something, be it micro challenges or macro challenges in our career, in our personal development, in our health. And then in the middle is your spark, your purpose, your reason, your why. And when those are understood and you are making decisions that are allocated within those, that's my version of holistic health. And I am always waking up every morning and assessing where is my energy on these things? Is something lacking? Because then I can kind of course correct. So it's a framework that I educate people on, and they use the roadmap. It's not a fixed formula. It's a very flexible formula that they say, okay, I get it. I understand. I know these habits. I know what I need to do. I'm going to assess where I'm at with these things, and then I'm just going to course correct, and I'm going to do the best that I can. So sorry for the long explanation, but that's kind of the method in a nutshell.
Yeah, so just list the seven elements again for us. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, of course. On the bottom, it is nourish, rest, and move.
Yep. Nourish, rest, and move. Is that one of them? Yep.
And there's a strategy to this. I spent months and months because there's actually a method, and you can see the illustration. Maybe we can throw that in the show notes or whatever. But there's an illustration that reveals and represents this. But that's like our survival. That's like, what we need, right? We need oxygen, water, food, shelter, safety. These are like bare essentials that we need. And that's what you would call like roots chakra, like the bottom. And then the top is learn, connect, and then challenge at the top. And then boom, right in the center is your spark.
Got it. Okay. So I tell you what, give our listener an idea of what you do on an average day, a normal day, and how that fits into these elements that you just talked about. Because you've talked about, learning, nature, mental fitness, being connected to a tribe, having purpose, working towards something, food, movement. Like, what's a average day in the life of Dr. Ryan Lazarus today?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking. It does at first seem very overwhelming. And I've sat down with people and I explain it, and it's like, how am I supposed to do all this? And so I'll show you what I do and also how I coach people. Because once you understand how simple it is, it's a game changer. I wake up very early. That's just my nature. I wake up and I take inventory. How did I sleep? How do I feel? And were the decisions that I made the previous day in alignment with what my current goals are, without judgment? So if I didn't sleep well, why didn't I sleep well? What did I do? Were the decisions I made the previous day in alignment with what I'm trying to accomplish right now, without judgment? What am I? Just examine the self. How am I? Where am I? Before I connect to anything, before I get on anything, I make sure I'm taking inventory. I meditate. I call it mental fitness because in my experience, you say meditation. And for most people, that's kind of a buzzword like diet and exercise and torture. But I'll tell you right now, diet, exercise, and meditation are some of the healthiest habits that anybody can do. But I don't call it that. In the book, I call it mental fitness, and I explain about training your mind just like you train a muscle. Because if you don't train your mind, it will train you. So I practice that. I set usually a daily intention. This is what I want to accomplish today. It could be a personal thing. It could be an offensive goal, meaning this is what I want to accomplish and this is the way that I want to do it. Or, and I'll get into this, it's more of I'm very busy right now and I'm very overwhelmed with a lot of different things. And so I want to act accordingly. And this is what I call in the book the difference between an offensive and a defensive game plan. Because on offense, when we're on offense, we have goals. We're leaning forward. There's momentum. We have energy. It feels good. We're accomplishing things. And this happens every day of our life. And then what happens? Boom, something happens. There's a change. There's a barrier. There's an obstacle. Okay. Something pulls us away from offense where we need to sit back and be on defense for a little bit. And that means it's a different strategy. It's improvising. It's adapting. It's overcoming. And it takes a little bit more strategy. And if you realize throughout every single day, especially with your health, there's these offensive moments and these defensive moments. And so I kind of assess, where am I right now? So if I have a defensive stance and I just feel like I need to accomplish these things and I'm on my heels a little bit, I'll set a defensive intention. And then I just kind of visualize, what does that look like in my day? And this doesn't take long, James. It takes 15 minutes to do. I try to read. I'm very, very busy and I get up very early and I usually train at 5 a.m. Train meaning like, my body. And so I try to read and at least keep my foot in the door with reading. So then I'll train and I'll exercise and I'll see my kids and I'm off to work. And then, I'm working with patients and being productive and I'm trying to accomplish as much as I can on offense. And then boom, defense hits. Got to change this, got to take this call, got to put out this fire. Boom, we switch game plans. This is what we do. This is my headspace. This is my goal. And then we move back. It literally is this. And when you understand it and you actually have set an offensive and a defensive game plan, it takes the pressure out, because if you're only feeling like you're in offense all the time, you feel like you're failing because you're not doing these things. And it could be in your job and it could be in your relationships and it could be in your health, the things that you wanted to accomplish. So, that's what it looks like, is this game plan that I talk about and really elaborate in the book. And then at home, it's try to turn off work and then be with my kids and kind of learn together. And then I usually, have a good healthy meal and kind of reflect on the day. And I break this up in the book. There's a lot more structure to this. And then it's usually going to bed early. I mean, it's not a glamorous lifestyle, brother. It's this is my work life. But that's kind of it in a nutshell to make it quick.
Hi, I'm James Swanwick. Have you downloaded my free alcohol freedom formula yet? If not, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. You can download it. It will outline the same process that we walk our clients through in our flagship 90-day stop drinking program. You'll also get an email from me each day with tips and tricks to reduce or stop drinking, to improve your health, nutrition, mobility, and lots of other great mindset techniques. That's alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. It's funny when you say it's not a glamorous lifestyle. I have found, certainly in my more recent years, I'm 48 as we're recording this, 48 years old. And I remember a time in my 20s and early 30s where I was convinced that the pleasure that I was getting out of life was accomplishments, parties I was going to, significance. Like, for example, I'll throw in a few examples. Going to the Super Bowl. I went to the Super Bowl 7 times as a spectator. I went to the Playboy Mansion. I went to the Golden Globes and the Oscars. I traveled the world as a backpacker. Went to the Sundance Film Festival for many years in a row. And I had a fabulous time, no question. That was super fun. But it's funny because in recent years, as I approach 50, I have found my experience of life to be so much more pleasurable in what I call fulfillment. And the fulfillment is, do I feel healthy? Do I sleep well? Do I have a positive mindset? Am I kind of boyish about the future or positive about the future? Do I enjoy spending time with my romantic partner, with my daughter, with my nieces and nephews? Do I enjoy speaking to my mum on the phone a couple times a week as I'm walking through the streets and getting some sunlight and getting my 10,000 steps in? Do I enjoy having enriching conversations at dinner with people that I know, like, trust, and admire? And it's, I guess you could say it's not a glamorous lifestyle that I have right now. If we're looking at glamorous as being these kind of Epicurean events, like these, like, wow, like rock concerts and shows and Super Bowls and parties and trips and adventures and things like that. All those things are great, but the pleasure I'm getting now is from feeling pretty healthy generally, doing meaningful work, and having great friendships with friends and family. So, when you said there it's not a glamorous lifestyle, I would submit that why are we looking for a glamorous lifestyle? Maybe the preferable or the optimal lifestyle is something more like what I just outlined. What do you feel about that?
I think that was very well stated, brother. That's where your definition of success is very, very important, and that is fulfillment. And you know your values and your beliefs and what is important to you right now, and you just name them. And when you're accomplishing what is important to you in alignment with an internal scorecard, not that the external scorecard is the flashy stuff, right? I
Mm.
mean, really, the human experience is how do we live with our soul and our ego? These are the flashy things that everyone is doing, and that looks really great. And maybe I want to do that. And here's the soul saying, here's what I really want. And this is the conversation in our head, the internal versus the external scorecard. And I think with age and maturity and wisdom, you now know at your age, fulfillment is accomplishing these things. And you have a good compass about your values and your beliefs. And you know what success looks like for you. And so you kind of have this path. And when you're on the path, it feels great. And then when you deviate from the path, it doesn't feel good. And so, that's just like where you're just taking an internal exam of yourself and seeing, like, do my behaviors reflect my values and my version of success right now? And it's different for every single person. And that's what, I want to say that is everyone's values and beliefs. It's actually dynamic. Everyone that starts my programs like completes a form about things they think about and talk about or inspired about, write down or organized. And it's career and it's finance and it's social and entertainment and it's personal development and it's health and well-being and it's career. And they'll reveal, oh my gosh, this is really what is important to me. And are you making decisions that are alignment with that? And a lot of them are going, no. And I'm like, well, don't judge yourself. Let's just look at this. And
Mm.
so I think there's a real big misalignment to your point about, the glamorous, the flashy, the external scorecard. And I've seen great results when people just take a moment and just reflect what is important to me right now. Because what it was 20 years ago and 10 years ago and where you are now is probably very, very different.
Yeah, very different. It's funny you're talking about scorecard. The most important scorecard I have at the moment is from my Aura Ring, and I'll just show you. I monitor my sleep every night, and maybe you can just have a look at my score here and tell the listener what you think about it. So this is last night. Can you see that? Do you want to just read out what you're seeing there to the listener and what your view of it is?
Yeah, I love it. So first of all, I see a crown. That's great news. The sleep score is 85. Your resting heart rate's 55. Time in bed, 819. Total sleep, 7. And I see all blues. So I'm loving what I'm seeing right there.
Mm.
And deep sleep, let's look at your HRV. Yeah, keep going down. Keep going. Yeah, 55. So heart rate variability, right? A true measure of kind of parasympathetic or sympathetic nervous system. And I won't get too geeky on you, but that right there that feels good. That feels good to wake up and look at that, right?
Mm.
We in our group, we have an Aura Ring circle. Where
Yes.
did you know that? Where, yeah. Are you in that
I
group,
am.
brother?
I'm in that group, yeah. And what Ryan's talking about here is you can actually create a group of, I think, up to 12 other friends or family, if you like, in Aura, and you each day you could, it's almost like a leaderboard, isn't it, where we're competing against each other in a very kind of fun way to see who can get the best sleep score, because sleep is just so important, isn't it?
Um, Look, I'm a nutritionist and I'm a personal trainer, and I think sleep is more important. If I had to rank them, okay, Sleep is more important for me, and I'm advocating it more than being perfect with your nutrition and perfect with your movement. It is literally the most imperative interval of time of how your body rests and recovers and repairs. And if it is compromised, your health is compromised. Your hormones are, your mental state, your amygdala, the fear portion of your brain is turned on. The prefrontal cortex changes. Um, so that it's non-negotiable for me, and so I think it's very, very important. It's a huge part of the book, and there's a whole chapter on it.
Mm. A lot of the folks in that ordering are wearing one of my products, which are the Swannies blue light blocking glasses. I'm wearing the daytime ones now with the clear lens, but the a big game changer for me has been wearing orange lensed blue blockers in the last hour before I go to sleep each night. And obviously, I wear my own brand, Swannies from Swanic Sleep. We've got a few other people in our mastermind, Dan Go, who's big on social media, and a few other folks who wear their Swannies. But that's been a huge thing for me, I have to say. And I know I'm biased because I have a brand and a product like that, but blocking artificial blue light at night has significantly improved my sleep. Has that been your experience, either yourself or with clients, anecdotally?
100%. I mean, the science is very clear about what it does to melatonin, what it does to your brain. Artificial light, especially blue light, at that pivotal moment where serotonin is kind of dipping, your circadian rhythm is changing, your body is prepping its brain and itself for sleep. To interfere with that can interfere with obviously the cues to go to bed, but also the deep sleep that you're getting. I mean, the science is very, very clear about it, and there's so many anecdotes. And I'm always trying to convey and advocate to all my patients how important that ritual is leading up to bed, and how they can really screw it up by doing the wrong things.
Yeah, let's focus on the wrong things. Let's focus on the things that we know based on research and anecdotal evidence that we should cut out. That, and by we, I mean our listener here. So definitely a wrong thing in my view, and I'm sure you agree, is staring into a screen in the last half an hour before you go to sleep. The blue light is triggering your pituitary and pineal gland, which is suppressing your melatonin production, which ends up disrupting your sleep quality. So don't be watching TV and staring into your phone in the last 30 minutes to an hour before sleep. Second thing, let's talk about alcohol. Now, here's what I know about alcohol, and maybe you can add to this. You're better off drinking alcohol for breakfast than you are anywhere closer to bedtime, because at least then the body's got 16 hours to try to work and break down the toxins from the alcohol and get it out of the system. The problem I see is that most people who are drinking alcohol in the last few hours before sleep are essentially clocking their body in for a night's work. And we don't want our body working when we're sleeping. We want to be resting. And when you drink alcohol, your liver now goes to work, your body's not resting, you don't have as deep restorative sleep as you would if you were not drinking, and you wake up in many cases feeling irritable and tired because you just have had a seemingly innocent glass of wine or a beer the night before. What's your view on alcohol as it relates to health?
Yeah, I have an interesting relationship with alcohol, but I'll comment on that. Um, if there's one way to really screw up your deep sleep, it's drinking alcohol right before you go to bed. So it's just echoing what you said. And, a glass of wine, oh, just maybe one more. I'm a little tired. I go to bed easier. And then boom, 1 a.m. up. Aldehyde just cleared from your liver. People are up. You just compromise that crucial interval. And yeah, might go back to bed, or you might not even wake up. And you do wake up, and you don't need to be hungover. Okay. You wake up and you're just not thriving. You're not clear headed. And what I see is the problem of that is then it translates into people don't do their morning routine all of a sudden. They don't really want to move. And then that's a catalyst for bad habits that can occur. And so a simple, glass of wine that turns into two, or, whatever people are drinking, interferes with sleep, but then can turn into bad, unproductive habits that then can obviously snowball, and then boom, you snap your fingers and it's a couple weeks and you're off your path. Um, I agree. I think if you're going to have a glass of wine, have it at lunch. I'm not kidding. I will tell people I need this, and I say, okay, well, we'll talk about the alcohol later. But if you do it, try to do it as early as possible. Just because the middle of the night, it's very harsh on your body. Um, can I share my story with alcohol? Okay.
Please.
So before this, 18-year-old near death, life altering experience, I was a young man in and my mother's side of the family were heavy drinkers. They were from Detroit, and they drank a lot. And I have that. I have that in me. I knew that from the moment I started drinking, which was, 16 years old. I could just turn and let it go. And the more I drank, the more I wanted it. And so I drank all through high school, just like I would say, a very typical young adolescent, okay, where I'm from. And then boom, this injury happened, and didn't really get the memo that what it's actually doing to my broken body after. Started going into the hospital, and because of consuming alcohol, creating what's called pancreatitis. And say, you got to stop drinking, you got to stop drinking. And one of those decisions that I made with that gentleman in San Diego is I'm going to stop drinking. That was one of the decisions. So I stopped drinking for 10 years, just nothing, zero. So the 10 years of that life, I was the sober designated driver. When everyone was partying in their 20s, I was just the sober guy. That was kind of my identity. Um, and that's where I got in really good shape, had a very, very clear mind, um, got into studying and reading. I mean, when my friends were drinking and partying, I was just locked in. And I attribute a lot of this success of my professional and my health success after that is because I was just waking up and I was dialed and I felt great. So fast forward now, I start having kids and I have a career and I have two medical practices and I'm very, very busy. And there's a glass of wine. I decide after all these years, I'm just going to sip a glass of wine. So I sip it and I feel it right away. And I'm like, holy moly, wow, I forgot what this feels like. And woke up the next day, just like I alluded to, felt dizzy, wasn't really hungover, but just fell off. I'm like, oh, why do people do this? I'm so glad I drank. I was a reminder of why I don't do this. Then James, another week later, all of a sudden, have another sip. Start to bring in alcohol after knowing how important it is to remove it from my lifestyle. And here it is. It's like showing up. It's like a beer here, a glass of wine here. Start feeling like crap after this, but continued to drink.
Hmm.
What was going on? I knew it. My intellectual, I knew all about everything I was explaining about the health, about the organs, about diabetes and blood sugar and deep sleep and all, but I'm still drinking. So finally, just say, I'm stopping. So I stop and boom, right back, clear-headed, goals, waking up. And I'm in this kind of limbo right now where I'm like, what is my relationship with this thing? I will tell you, I am thriving when I don't have it. And I am echoing what a lot of people are now realizing, that it's just a small amount. It's the pull, and I realize that pull, and I'm not going to get pulled in by it because I know what it can do to my brain and what it does to my body, and it's so misaligned with everything right now. But it's this tug of war that is going on right now, and I feel it. But I am so much better not drinking, and if that helps anyone listening, that they are in the same spot. I mean, you're an absolute expert in coaching people in this. Um, there's a major movement about really removing this poison because what it does. There are other alternatives, and we can talk about those. But me personally, I'm not on this pedestal. I don't drink, and I mean, I feel the tug, and so that's why I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their story. And isn't it interesting that even just a little bit of alcohol is enough to mess you up? There was a 2022 study that came out of the UK. They looked at 35,000 middle aged adults, and it showed that even one seemingly innocent glass of alcohol per night was enough to cause some level of brain degeneration. More specifically, it destroyed white and grey matter in the brain. And despite that, it's crazy how it's just so normalized in our culture. And it seems like even you were just having a drink here, a drink there, and it was causing major problems. Yeah, thank you for sharing your story with that, Ryan. I wanted to ask you, can you look at someone who you haven't met before, or maybe you do know them? Can you just look at them, the way that they carry themselves, maybe their skin, their posture, their weight, and just tell visibly, visually, without any verbal explanation as to what's going on, if that person is healthy or not, or if that person is living an aligned life or not? Like, can you just look at someone and instinctively know what their habits are and if they're healthy or unhealthy?
I do that often. I do it intuitively with every person that walks in my office. And I do it with strangers, not to judge them, but just to see this major human experiment we're all in right now. My answer is yes. Not only from an intuitive, non-verbal body language, how you hold yourself, looking in the eyes, but are they inflamed, right? You look at people, you can see the visible inflammation in their face, on their body, and it's not necessarily like visceral adipose tissue or weight gain. You can just see it. So sometimes I'm wrong, but often I'm right, and I can make an assessment. And really, what do I want to do is say, hey, I want to help you. Some people are ready, some people are willing to listen. Some people are not, and that's okay either way. But yeah, my answer is yes, I can.
Mm. On the occasions where you and I have spent time together, is there an impression that you may have generated of me based on the question that I just asked you? Like, is there anything that you saw in me that intuitively would lead you to believe, oh, James leads a healthy life, or he's in alignment, or James might be out of alignment here? Certainly, I know I've mentioned to you a couple of little niggling injuries that I've had and a few other health concerns, but just generally, when you have observed me, what has been your impression?
Yeah, posture is strong, so confident and competent. You're obviously fit, and so whether we like it or not, we make that judgment right away by looking at body composition and muscle tone. And you're a strong, fit individual that carries themselves very well, and I respect that. And we went on a couple bike rides together, and we played a couple games, and so then that only confirms this initial feeling or gut. But yeah, I would put you in a camp of health is a priority, and you're living your life and you're making daily decisions that are aligned with that. And again, like I said, health is so much. It's not just diet and exercise, right? And that's ultimately what I want to share with everybody, is that it's non-tangible. It's very unquantifiable aspects, and that's what we call alignment. And so, yes. I know we all struggle with different aspects of our life. I do every single day. But, on quick impression, yeah, healthy, in alignment.
Thank you. Sometimes I mean, I generally feel like I'm fit and healthy and of good mindset. I have little stress. When I get stressed, I get really stressed, but the stress is infrequent, I would say. But one of the things I shared with you when we last saw each other was I seem to have very high levels of uric acid, and I experience gout attacks. The irony is that gout mostly affects people who drink too much alcohol, and I haven't drunk alcohol since 2010. And I've experimented with different foods over the years, but generally I eat paleo style. And paleo, for the uninitiated, means I'm eating a lot of red meat, chicken, salmon, and then vegetables. I eat very little bread, very few processed foods. I don't even eat ice cream anymore. I've switched to Greek yogurt, which has been amazing. I just smash these like 450-gram tubs of zero-fat Greek yogurt with blueberries, and I feel gluttonous even though I'm getting like 35 grams of protein and only 350 calories. But I have struggled. Oh, struggled's not the right word. I have experienced on average 2 gout attacks for the past 5 years, and anyone who here has experienced gout, oh, it's painful. Like, it is painful. It's basically an accumulation of crystals, uric acid crystals that gather in a joint, mostly in the big toe or on the foot, sometimes in the knee. 9 out of the 10 gout attacks I've had have been in the foot. One's been in the knee. And it can last, 3, 4, 5 days. So I guess my question is, for someone who's listening, who maybe thinks they're doing all the right things, they're focusing on sleep, they think they're eating well, they're exercising enough, they got some good friends, but they still have health complications. What does that mean, if anything? What does that person do? How should they perceive this?
Yeah, well, the way that I was trained in functional medicine is look at the entire person. So go see a functional medicine practitioner that can run in-depth labs, understand your story, and uncover maybe aspects of your health that you cannot do yourself. And that's where the partnership in a team with a holistic doctor and a patient becomes very, very important. And there is a great framework within the functional medicine framework. It doesn't have to be functional medicine. It could be naturopathic. It could be integrative medicine. Just find somebody that understands the body and wants to help heal you by doing an exam and running some tests that could reveal and quantify what's going on in or around your body. And then from there, my personal belief is you start with your lifestyle, and then it's diet, and then it's supplements. It's not the opposite order. You can't supplement a crappy diet and a bad lifestyle. And so if you can understand the lifestyle choices and you can make some shifts in the food, and again, the food, I can go deep. I purposefully have not brought up, like how deep in food that we can go and the aspects of clinical nutrition. But, there is no one perfect diet. There's no one diet fits all. We have different microbiomes, we have different genetics, we have different preferences, we have different blood chemistries. And so what might work for somebody might not work for the other. And so you work with somebody that understands how we can personalize a prescription. That's the future of medicine, brother. That it's no longer a pill for an ill. Just take these things and cover it up, or just eat this way because my friend ate that way. We now have data. There's now technology, there's labs, there's information that we can personalize what you need to do, the decisions you need to make, what you can put in your mouth, and what natural medicines that you need or you don't need. And so my advice is, if somebody is still a little unclear about how they get healthy or want to take a deeper dive, use that method.
Yeah, I just got my blood taken yesterday, and I'm waiting back on a full panel. In part, some of the things to test you actually suggested to me, a couple of other people as well. So I should get the results back in a few days. I'm looking forward to sharing the results with you. Maybe that will reveal what is going on with my uric acid and gout attacks. What was the question? I had a question there I wanted to ask you, but it just slipped my mind. Hang on. Give me a second here, listener. What was it? What was the question? No, I've lost it. Have I lost it?
Diet, exercise, lifestyle, sleep, purpose, hacks.
It'll come to me. There you go. Now, maybe I need to get my memory tested now. Oh, I know what it was. Supplements. So my father is very skeptical of supplements. He calls supplements very expensive urine, which I think is very funny. What is your view on supplements? Because I got to tell you, I'm still not convinced from my own experience that any supplement is doing any good. And I think maybe there's placebo effect going on. And the US in particular, wow, I know very successful guys who are selling supplements like magnesium and sleep concoctions and green juices. And one of my great friends owns a $1 billion brand called Athletic Greens. And I mean, the ingredients look good. They look good. I've got a whey protein powder here, which looks good. I've taken some magnesium and some calcium and some vitamin D and stuff like that over the years. And every time I go to a holistic person, they always give me like a list. Oh, you need to be on this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh man, am I really going to keep staying on this supplement train? So tell me, Ryan, what's your view on supplements?
Big debate, right? Big hot topic. Good, not good. The answer is yes to both. So there are a lot of products out there that are non-effective and expensive urine. And so if you direct to consumer, if you just buy something, let's say off Amazon, and you know nothing about supplements and you want to buy magnesium, and you go there and you search and it looks up, it says magnesium, let's say oxide, which is crap. You don't know what oxide versus citrate versus glycinate versus threonate versus malate is. You don't know. I mean, magnesium, there's so many different forms that are used differently in the body. So you buy it, and that's crap. That's almost sometimes harmful, because what else do they put in there? Okay. There are so many products that you could buy and without proper knowledge are expensive urine. Yes. On the other hand, when taken appropriately with the right forms that have been third-party tested with quality assays and exactly what in there they state in the right forms at the right dosage, taken correctly, is 100% cellular medicine. And they help the adrenals, the mitochondria, the nervous system, the gut. Proven. The clinical science is very, very clear. So you want to be skeptical of a lot of the crap, and you want to get the good supplements that you need, or the listeners specifically need, from the people that are well trained and can prescribe them appropriately. Okay. That's where I come in, or anybody who's a medical professional that understands these and can assign them appropriately. Here, I'll give you the tiers on how I use supplements. And they also, before I say that, like I said, that supplements are here, diet is here, and your lifestyle is here. And that being said, supplements are insurance policies. They will not correct a crappy lifestyle. I know people that drink Coke and then they're taking an antioxidant. That doesn't make sense. They are making bad health decisions and eating seed oils and fried foods and then taking turmeric and saying this is going to help me. There's a lot of unique approaches with this thing, and that's why I continue to say it's your lifestyle, it's your diet, and then these insurance policies help. My tiers are this, James. Tier 1 is foundationals, a good multivitamin, multimineral. We know that is an insurance policy to a well-balanced food plan. Vitamin D is extremely important. The research is so clear on it. It's a pro-hormone. It is very important for the adaptive immune system and important for making T regulatory cells. You should know your vitamin D level. Everyone should know it. And then if you are low, you should take a specific amount of vitamin D3 and K2 to get to a good zone. That's fact. Essential fatty acids, they're essential. These are things called EPA and DHA, also known as fish oil. You want to get it from legitimate sources. You want to consume your omega-3s from a diet. But if you're not bringing it from diet, you want to supplement. The science is clear. Then the last one is a probiotic. If you don't know your microbiome or the diversity of the bacteria that resides in your gut, generally taking a probiotic is a good practice, or eating foods that are pre and probiotic rich are really, really important. But taking probiotic as an insurance policy, 30 billion CFUs, great practice. The risk benefit, it's so much benefit, minimal risk. Second tier is a symptom that you have or a goal that you have. And this is where the personalization gets in. And this is where thousands and thousands of different formulas can come in. Okay. Is it for the gut? Is it for the adrenals? Is it whey protein for muscle growth? Everyone has different priorities and different imbalances, and that's where tier 2 comes in. And that's dynamic, James. It changes all the time. So do I need to be on this all the time? No, you don't have to be it all the time. That is a fluctuating variable. And then tier 3 is maybe genetic predispositions that you run through genes or family history that I call prevention. So if we know a little bit what you might be prone to, then on our tier 3, let's take something that we know might be very helpful for you for prevention. And if you can navigate those with good, clean products and not take 20 pills every single day, and but having really good formulas that is a reasonable amount that you can stay compliant with, I think that's a very legitimate, consistent routine for supplements.
Well, if I heard you correctly, at the end of the day, a multivitamin, vitamin D3 and K2, some fish oil, and a probiotic would probably get you a great foundation in terms of supplementation.
Correct.
Amazing. All right. Well, Dr. Ryan Lazarus, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Lazarus is the author of the book, The Essential Health Playbook, and you can find it on Amazon right now. The Essential Health Playbook, which includes Dr. Lazarus' story from life-threatening injuries at 18 to him navigating type 1 diabetes, digestive failure, immune problems, to then studying degrees in exercise science and becoming a certified nutrition specialist, and now him outlining in this book the Lazarus method, which is his fusion of ancient health wisdom with modern age functional medicine. And if you can find fulfillment in life, a huge component of that is your physical health. And Dr. Lazarus does a great job of outlining what you can do practically to create massive fulfillment in your life. The book is The Essential Health Playbook. Check it out on Amazon. Ryan, thank you so much for your time, mate. It was so fun to spend some time with you, mate.
It was great. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk and to share. So thank you, James.
You're welcome. And to you, the listener, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening. For more content like this, you can check out our YouTube channel at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/YouTube. You can follow me and send me a direct message on Instagram and TikTok at James Swanwick. And you can see the results of our scientific study at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/study. If you'd like to apply to become a Stop Drinking client, you can visit alcoholfreelifestyle.com/project90. I wrote a book called The 30-Day No Alcohol Challenge, which you can find on Amazon at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. If you're a regular listener of the show, would you please do me a big favor and give the show a rating and a review? It helps us get more listeners, and you'll be potentially helping someone else out there who's struggling with alcohol to find us, to listen to us, and get support. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.